I'm not sure. But we're about to solve this mystery. Make this mystery history. Hey guys, K78 back here with more Yakuza 3. And now we're going to see the conclusion of the Akechi murder mystery. Too bad I didn't get to question, Yuko. Let's see how this plays out though, because we're right here. Alright. Hey dude, how's it going? Nope, I still don't see anything off about any of this. Do you have a minute? Oh, it's you. So did you find proof of Akechi's innocence yet? Ha 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 ha. What was that you were looking at? Oh, this? This is a list of evidence we made during the investigation 6 years ago. You're taking such a hard look at the case, I thought I'd better take a glance myself. Can I see that? I guess, but you won't find anything wrong with any of it. I honestly can't figure out why you think Akechi is innocent. You got a list of evidence. Wait a minute, what's this? What's what? I finally got it! Was it really all this simple all along? No mistake about it, somebody framed Akechi.
Nani?
What? Are you serious? Yeah, I'll explain everything, but first I need you to round up everybody related to the case. But it'll turn out fine. You'll see. Okay, just don't blame me if it doesn't. I'll get everybody together at Cafe Alps. That'll work, right? Yeah, that's fine. I've got all the evidence I need. It's time to reveal what really happened 6 years ago. Plays the Danganronpa music. Oh wait, what? Why didn't it warp me to Cafe Alps? Alright, Cafe Alps. Here we go. Well, I did as you asked, Detective. I closed the cafe and kicked everyone out. Now, what's this all about? Kiryu-san and his friend here would like to talk to all of you.
Hi.
I have for you one reason and one reason alone. I'm sure you all remember the murder that took place here 6 years ago. The victim was Kazuo Oda-san, the manager of this cafe at the time. One of the employees, Yuichi Akechi-san, was arrested for his murder. But did Akechi-san really kill Oda-san? I'd like to ask each of you to think back on that day. Do any of you have any evidence, any truly conclusive evidence that Akechi-san was really the one who killed Oda-san? I've been struggling with one question since the day of the murder. Could Akechi-san actually be innocent? But before I can find out for sure, an article I wrote implicating Akechi-san was the murderer got published. But thanks to Kiryu here, we finally arrived at the truth of what happened 6 years ago. But if Akechi-kun is innocent, that means someone else is guilty. Exactly. But what do you base all this on, Kiryu-san? I need to show them proof that Yuichi Akechi's innocence. What should I give? Alright. Well, I didn't actually... What is the evidence that would be... that would prove him of everything? The fact that Kinoshita didn't get a look at the face is big evidence. But he also looked at the evidence and like saw, oh, I got it now. You didn't get a look at the face, how do we know? I'm gonna go with that. No, that doesn't prove anything. I need to show why I believe Yuichi Akechi is innocent. All I have to do is poke a hole in the charges against him. The list of evidence? No, that doesn't prove anything. I need it. Oh. Usami didn't see a murder? Usami was the one who saw Akechi and Oda fight the day of the murder, is that right? Yeah, but I left in the middle of it. In other words, she didn't actually see Akechi-san kill Oda-san. Exactly, and only Usami saw Oda and Akechi fighting. So we can't conclude that Yuichi Akechi killed Oda, which means the charges pressed against him could be false. Ha! Sorry, but that doesn't hold water. What do you mean? Akechi's prints were on the weapon used to kill Oda. That's solid evidence to prove Akechi did it. Is that all you have to say? Huh? What do you mean? This is your case. You ought to know that Akechi's fingerprints on the murder weapon alone weren't enough to convict him. I don't follow you. Spell it out for us, will ya? There's evidence I should show them. Okay. They weren't the only fingerprints on that ashtray. Customers also had their fingerprints. The ashtray was used as the murder weapon hadn't been washed because it was supposed to be thrown out. Akechi's prints weren't the only ones on it. That means you can't prove his guilt from the fingerprints alone. Detective, is this true? Yes, it's just as he says. So you admit it might have not been my brother.
Yeah.
But that's still not enough to prove somebody else did it. Somebody else witnessed Akechi fleeing the crime scene. That's another piece of solid evidence. Think about it. You think the person actively fleeing the scene of a crime is the culprit, wouldn't you? Why'd they run away if they didn't do anything? What do you have to say about that? Kiryu-san, do you have any information to refute the witness's statement about Akechi-san? Let's see. There was a hole in the witness's statement. It was the fact that Kinoshita didn't get a look at the face. All he saw was the waiter uniform. Kinoshita, you saw Akechi fleeing the scene, correct? Yes, I did. Are you sure? I'm not lying. I'm sure I saw him. But you didn't see the face of the person fleeing the scene. You said that, right? Yeah, I only saw his back. So that's possible you saw somebody else. Is that all you got? The police wouldn't have arrested Akechi on any old fake evidence, you know. There was also something that proved that Kinoshita-san was in fact Akechi. And what was that? The man Kinoshita-san saw was leaving... The man Kinoshita-san saw leaving the scene of the crime was wearing a Cafe Alps waiter uniform. The only waiters employed by Cafe Alps at the time were Kinoshita-san, Asai-san, Imagawa-san, and Akechi-san. The security tapes of Kinoshita-san and Asai-san out front at the murder at the time. We also confirmed that Imagawa-san was at home. Therefore, by process of elimination, the only waiter Kinoshita-san could have seen was Akechi. Kiryu-san, is this true? No. It's absolutely possible that Kinoshita was not... that the person Kinoshita saw was not Akechi. I have a statement to prove it.
Nani?
Well, then why don't you share the statement with us? Alright. We need to show... Something was stolen from Imagawa's locker. Aside ever... Okay. It's either Imagawa's testimony or Asai's testimony. Yes. No, that doesn't prove anything. Oh, wait. What? Okay, fine. Imagawa's testimony. There was actually another crime committed at this cafe on the day of the murder 6 years ago. Another crime? That's the first I've heard of it. Imagawa's uniform disappeared from his locker in the Cafe Out's locker room on that day. Imagawa-kun's uniform? Yes, my uniform disappeared from my locker. Since you weren't present on the day of the murder, then what did you notice it was missing? The day after Oda-san was murdered, I came to work. The police were investigating so I could go in. But once the police left, I looked in my locker and saw my uniform was gone. Come on, the police probably took it as evidence. I'm sure there was plenty of stuff missing on the crime scene. You're wrong. Somebody was definitely harassing me. Everyone teased me. Asai-kun, why didn't you tell him that you took my uniform? You took everything else. The uniform must have been you too. You're so whiny. bully, police, whoever took it, it had nothing to do with Akechi or this case. No. Imagawa's uniform is the key to this case. Huh? What do you mean? I'll show you right now. I could show them 2 pieces of evidence that prove what happened to Imagawa's uniform. Alright. Well, the first is that Asai said it himself. He never took the uniform. And the other piece is... in the list of evidence that the cops seized from the crime, they never took a uniform. Look at the list of evidence I borrowed from you. There's no waiter's uniform on it. Let's see. You're right, I didn't see any waiter's uniform listed. In other words, the uniform disappeared before the police showed up. If the police didn't confiscate it, who could have taken it? It was Asai-kun, right? No, not Asai. He did steal things from you, true, but he didn't do it to harass you. He was just after some cash. Your wallet and CDs make sense, but your uniform wouldn't have been worth anything. Well, then who did it? Oh, you mean the murderer who took it? Exactly. The criminal wanted to make it look like somebody else committed the crime, so they stole the waiter's uniform and changed into it. Then, as soon as somebody came by, they hid their face and ran out the back exit. Is that true? So you're saying the person who stole Imagawa's uniform and fled the scene is the real criminal? Yeah. Who might that be? The real criminal is... Yuko! You did this! Yes, this is the only person who could have done it.
桐生さん、それではその人物の名前を教えてください。6年前、小田さんを殺し、明智さんに罪をかぶせた事件の真犯人とは一体。
犯人はお前だ。木下優子、お前が小田を殺した真犯人だ。
It was revenge for cheating on you. Her? Are you serious? I can't believe it. What? Yuko killed Oda-san? An interesting theory, but why would I kill Oda-san? I didn't have any real reason to do anything like that. Yeah, Yuichi Akechi's motive was Asami-san's relationship with Oda-san. Exactly how are Yuko-san and Oda-san connected? Alright, so now we need to prove that they are connected. The way that they're connected is because... of this piece of evidence. Oda was dating someone at the time of the murder. Oda was dating someone at the time of the murder. Somebody who used to work as a waitress at Cafe Elves. What? Is this true? Yeah, and her last name was Saito. Saito? That's Yuko's maiden name. I hear you worked at this cafe and just before the time of the murder. Yuko-san and Oda-san were dating? I didn't know that. Yuko-san, is that true? I don't have to answer that. Yuko. If Oda-san was dating Yuko-san, then Usami-san wasn't the only one cheating. Oda was cheating too. And that means Yuko-san also had a motive to kill Oda-san. So anyone with a motive is a killer? You haven't done anything but hypothesize. Exactly. You're the only one who talked about possibilities. Do you have any conclusive evidence that she murdered him? Like fingerprints. If only something with Yuko's fingerprints. Well, she did give me her business card. This is the evidence. Is that my business card? This business card has your fingerprints on it. We should be able to compare with the prints on this card to the ones on the murder weapon. Give me that business card. Let's check it out right now. Now I need to do the forensic evidence thing from Ace Attorney. Gotta blow that dust off. We finished analyzing the card. Or, we finished analyzing the prints on the card. These are Yuko Kinishita's prints. And these are the prints on the ashtray.
Oh!
There we go, we got a match! The prints on Yuko-san's business card are the same ones as the one on the murder weapon. I don't believe it! How do you explain that? Even if my prints are on that ashtray, so what? How does that change anything? What do you mean? I ate at the house on the day of the murder. I must have just touched the ashtray while I was there. She's right. There was no crime in touching an ashtray. She was just a customer. No, Yuko's lying. I should call her out on it. Alright. Well, then, to prove that she was there, she was the only one she couldn't have touched it that day and been on camera because she wasn't there on the day of the crime. No, you're lying. What the hell are you talking about? There's no record of you coming to the cafe on the day of the murder, right, Detective Maeda? He's right. We've had Cafe Alps employees watched all the security tapes, and they gave statements of no other cafe employees, former or otherwise, visited the cafe that day. Maybe they I have to think, she probably snuck in the back and did this right after Akechi left. Right, Kinoshita-san?
Ah.
That's right.
Oh.
I've seen Yuko-san's face before, so I would have noticed it if she was on those tapes. She definitely wasn't.
なるほど。
Which means you didn't come to the Cafe Alps on that day, on the day of the murder as a customer. So why were your fingerprints on the ashtray then? Fine, maybe it wasn't on the day of the murder. It might have been the day before. It's not that big of an issue. Nope, you have had to been there in the day of the murder. You weren't a customer, you were the real murderer. Huh? The only person who could have had prints on the murder weapon was those who visited on the day of the murder. How did you come to that conclusion? And now for the coup de grace. I just need to prove something to prove that the prints were on the murder weapon that were just made. That would be the florist's testimony. He said all of the fingerprints on the ashtray were made on the day of the incident because it always gets washed. The ashtrays here are cleaned every day, but your prints were on the murder weapon. That means you had been here on the day of the murder. But the day of the murder, a customer dropped the ashtray, chipping it. Yuichi Akechi saw the chipped ashtray and instead of washing it, decided to throw it out. Since you couldn't have come to the cafe as a customer that day, there's only one time you could have left your prints on that ashtray. You did it after Akechi dropped the ashtray in the locker room after he witnessed Usami cheating on him with Oda. Sometime after Akechi left and before Kinoshita came to check up on him, you entered the locker room and murdered Oda. Then you put on Imagawa's uniform and went out the back. Isn't that right? Yuko-san, is that what Kiryu says is true? It'll only get worse if you stay quiet. Shut up! I told you I didn't do it.
やめろ。
I give up. Yuko, I'm putting an end to this. What? Do you have something, Kinoshita-san? I knew you came to the cafe that day, Yuko. What? How? I could smell you. It was very faint, but I could smell your perfume all around the crime scene. No way. Why didn't you say this earlier? I've been in love with Yuko ever since we worked together. That's why I knew the scent of her perfume the minute I smelled it. Sometime after the murder, I happened to run into her again. Eventually, we started dating. One day, I brought up the murder and her face went white. She felt quiet and avoided commentating on anything. That's when I was sure Yuko had been there the day of the crime. Well, I'll be. But I didn't exactly know what that meant. Or I should say, I still didn't know what that meant. I didn't want to know what that meant. When I found out Kiryu-san was looking into the old crime, I decided to keep it all a secret. But But now Yuichi Akechi has suffered 6 years for a crime he didn't commit, all because I didn't say anything. It's all my fault. If I had just spoken up, none of this would have happened. Gee, Kinoshita-san.
さあ、もう言い逃れはできないぜ。
優子さん、今一度尋ねます。あなたが小田さんを殺したんですか？
そうよ。私がやったのよ。
Will you give a statement that Yuichi Akechi is innocent? Yes. Akechi-san had nothing to do with this murder. Yuko, how could you done such a thing? Was it really because Oda-san was cheating? Of course that's what it was about. He said he was going to marry me.
事件が起こった日、あの日は彼の小田さんの誕生日だった。だから私は彼を驚かそうと思ってプレゼントを持ってお店に向かったの。もうお店も閉まっている時刻だったから裏口から入ってロッカールームに向かったわ。でもそこで見たのは他の女と浮気してる彼の姿だった。私はとっさに身を引いて隠れた。落ち着いて目の前で何が起きてるのか理解しようと努めたわ。そのすぐ後に明智さんがやってきた。明智さんはロッカールームの中を覗いて小田さんと宇佐美さんの浮気現場を目撃すると手に持っていた灰皿を落とし小田さんに掴みかかっていったわ。言い争うような声が聞こえた後すぐに宇佐美さんがロッカールームから出てきて裏口から店の外へ出て行ったわ。すぐに明智さんも宇佐美さんの後を追って店の外へ出て行ってしまった。明智さんと宇佐美さんが出て行った後私はロッカールームの中へ入っていった。小田さんは私の姿を見てすごいびっくりしたみたいだったけど浮気がバレたことが分かると開き直って別れ話を切り出してきたわ。宇佐美と一緒になるつもりだから別れてくれってね。その言葉を聞いた途端完全に頭に血が上っちゃって気がついたら近くに落ちてた灰皿で小田さんを殴っていたわ。それからは桐生さんが言った通りよ。私はロッカーにあった制服に着替えてわざと裏口の前で誰かが来るのを待っていた。少しして誰かが客席の方からやってきたから顔を見られないようにして裏口から出て行った。それで部外者の自分には絶対に疑いがかからないだろうって思ったわ。
Several years have passed. I ran into Kinoshita-san and we eventually got married. I started selling things as a hobby and it soon turned into a business. Before I knew it, I grew into a large company. It's been 6 years since that day and my life's been going so well. I can't believe the truth came out now of all times. Yuko-san, did you ever think of what it felt like for Akechi-san to have bared these false charges? What it felt like to be knocked down at the rock bottom and have his freedom stolen from him in these past 6 years? And to think what would have happened if we hadn't revealed the truth just now? How many more years would he have suffered? The person who took Akechi-san's freedom away can give it back. You need to turn yourself in. Testify in front of the court and pay for your crimes. Can I escort you to the station? Yes. Yuko! I'll be right here waiting for you when you get back. Masaru. Thank you. Extra, extra! Guilty criminal of 6-year-old murder turns herself in. The man originally accused of the crime now stands to be acquitted in a new trial. I was wrong about the media. I thought you just went from one person to the next looking for gossip. I didn't think you cared about the people in your articles. I figured you just forgot about them the second they left your pages. But you've been worrying about my brother this whole time. You even proved his innocence. There are decent people in the media.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you so much for helping him. Nozomi-san. Also, I have to apologize for the way I treated you. I wanted to give you a reward for helping me get a retrial for my brother.
いえ
You don't owe me anything. As much as I hate to admit it, I didn't do anything on this one. Proving your brother's innocence was all the work of Kiyori-san here. I certainly didn't deserve any reward from you. What are you talking about? You did what a real journalist is supposed to do.
え
What do you mean? Sure, you wrote an article saying Akechi was a murderer, but now you've written an article clearing his name. Isn't that the real way? That the way a real journalist is supposed to resolve things?
なるほど
Sure, but I won't be let this be the end of it. I'll continue to follow the truth until the day I put down my pen. That's my duty as a reporter. And I'll be cheering you on. Character walking into nothing. 200,000 yen and 20,000 experience. Well, that was worth everything. I enjoyed that murder mystery. And also, I'm glad that it didn't give me any penalties while I made mistakes on it, because Ace Attorney tends to do that. Usually I have something quirky to say about it too when that happens. Alright. I think that'll be it for today. In the next video, I think I'll take a taxi and go see Dojima and figure out how to settle the score of Mine. Thank you, Kiryu. We'll see you guys then, and thank you guys for watching.